Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Arc Raiders. Today I want to talk about a simple yet seemingly insane goal these days, farming a queen or a matriarch and the parts, especially as a solo player. It used to be so easy with the Hullcracker and a team, even solo. You'd find a lot of players that are willing to work together. Everyone's got Hullcrackers, you kill it super quick. But now with the 1.3 nerfs, obviously the Hullcracker is so insanely expensive to run that a lot less people are even daring to bring it into raid, which is too much for plenty of people and affects the kills obviously. Fortunately then there's other methods that are a lot cheaper, but also cost effective ways to then run the more impactful tools too. But the main strategy here is simply breaking off parts of the queen and the matriarch, and then if there's other people fighting it, you can even loot them mid-fight, netting yourself reactors from these parts. Or if you're completely solo, like I have been in plenty of examples here, breaking off a part, de-aggroing the target, and then going and looting the part and leaving with the parts. And you're not just getting reactors here, you're getting magnetic accelerators and other valuable items to sell or use in large amounts, again, without ever needing to kill. But, you know, you can of course commit to the kill depending on the context, as we'll cover. So what are you going to need to do this insane strategy? Something really high expense and involved. Literally just a level 4 ferro would do the job, and if you can suppress it in terms of stealth, even better. But not necessary at all. Sure, you could run an anvil instead of this if you wanna, go ahead. All you need is 2 to 3 stacks of heavy ammo for this. And I would recommend in terms of healing, you bring like 10 basic bandages, maybe 5 or more shield rechargers. Definitely bring a raider hatch key so you can leave with the loot as quick as possible. And if you're gonna end up encountering other players, which is very possible, bringing defibs can be a surefire way to prevent them backfiring on you and instead helping you. Plus, if you give a defib to someone, they feel like indebted to you, which makes them stay friendly, which is always good. And then, if you go down, they can actually save you. Now, I do recommend you run as many save slots as possible. The cheapest version of this is the Looting Mark II, which leaves you with a light shield, which is obviously not ideal. But then you get 2 slots to work with, which will be 2 reactors, I imagine. How much you want to invest in this is completely up to you. You could go for the Looting Mark III cautious with 2 safe pockets, but a lot more weight, but it's still light shields. Ideally then, you'd be going with Survivor, which gives you medium shields and 3 safe pockets. Or worse than that, still medium shields from the Tactical Mark III Healing, where you're also going to get 3 safe pockets, but a lot less max loadout weight, which is a downside. So the best option really is the Survivor. Specifically for the Matriarch, I want you to bring a snap hook or at least 1 zip line. The difference between them is basically the snap hook means you can go up to a nice location and no one can get to you. With a zip line, you need to be careful about the positioning of it, so, you know, people are less likely to get to you. Right, here's the plan. We're going to go to the Queen of the Matriarch on whatever map it is, and we're going to find a nice spot to tackle it. Let's say it's the Queen. This is easy because on any map, this is just the harvester. You'll go in, clear the harvester, and now you have this fantastic base to work the legs from. So what are we doing when we're actually set up? Well, you're picking a specific leg that you can see when it's facing you, and you're going to exclusively attack it. Even with the ferro, this works. Now be aware there's kind of 2 sections of the legs. There's the upper and lower, and you just want to focus fire into one of the specific parts. Easiest is probably the upper. You'll hit it and you'll see it start to degrade, and then it breaks off and drops down. That right there is what you're after. You're going to go loot that part. The value of a single part of leg that's fallen off is shockingly high. You could literally do this method by breaking off 1 piece of the leg, looting that and leaving, and make incredible gains by bringing just a ferro. Ideally though, you'll be breaking off every single leg part that exists and piling in the most valuable loot from all of them. First, let's cover the Matriarch and the strategy for that, because there is some things to consider. If she spawns on damn battlegrounds, I have the perfect example for you. Where I like to fire her is at the pipeline tower. She spawns here at the breach. There's a specific spot right here where you have one of those like dam platforms, but it's all broken and nothing's going on here. This is the perfect place to set up a zip line up to the pipeline tower, because the only way to get to this spot really is to drop down onto it or climb the ladders on the side. It's really subtle and hidden away. This gets you to the top of the pipeline tower then. Otherwise you could just snap hook up here, which is super easy too, and then there's no way for all the players to get to you. Once you're up here, you're going to see that there's this nice like ramp section which works as perfect cover from the Matriarch's missiles. Every other attack is not going to reach you. Her summons aren't going to be like a problem for you unless it's a rocketeer, obviously. But in most cases, the rocketeer doesn't even spawn. And yeah, from here, you stand on the side of the ramp, you pick a leg and you focus fire into it. Whenever she fires missiles, you can just back up or go behind the ramp for hard cover and then peek around again. If there's gas going, It's going to drain your stamina, but it doesn't really stop you from walking and crouching out of the way of the rockets even when they're flying at you. So you can just free fire into her most of the time. Very quickly you'll break off one part, and then it's a question of, do I want more? And if so, break off other parts by focusing fire into one specific leg. Once you're ready and there's parts on the ground, you're happy, stop attacking her, hide behind the ramp or wherever and crouch, and let her de-aggro. She'll go back to her patrol route, moving around the breach. And as soon as she's walking away from the parts you've broken off, you head back down. Go loot them, head to extract with your radar hatch key. This is the perfect example for a matriarch because on top of the pipeline tower, you're above her. And whatever map it is, that's where you want to be ideally. This helps you deal with all of her attacks and avoid the summons and manage the rockets really well. Problem with the matriarch really is that there's not a special location like the harvester with the queen. So there isn't always like an easy, straightforward up above her location. So on other maps, you will have to do it up close and below her. Let's give an example on Bluegate. A lot of people fight her here at the warehouse complex. There's the upper warehouse and the lower warehouse. Doesn't matter which one you go for. From inside here, you're relatively protected. You can focus fire on a leg or two. And it's not too hard, honestly. This is a great way to kill her too. The problem here is that she's summoning allies. So your bastions, your bombardiers, your leapers, they're going to be right here and a problem. They're going to be in the way of the loot. So in that context, you might want smoke grenades, a photo cloak to hide yourself. It is absolutely doable though, and killable on these maps. On the other hand, we have the queen, which means you're probably going to be doing the harvester. For this, I do want to give you a quick warning in that in my skill tree, I have 5 levels in proficient prior, which means the breaching for the containers inside and even opening the doors is so much faster for me. It'll just take longer if you don't have this. But there are positives again to the queen and the harvester location. People actually come here, and in my experience, are more likely to talk. So avoid players like the plague on the way to the location you're going to work the matriarch, or say the queen at the harvester. So let's talk about the harvester and the strat. Super simple, it's blue or yellow. If it's blue, it's going to be like an EMP, and as long as your shield's off, you won't even lose your shield, you pop it on when you're done. If it's yellow, that means fire. If the door's open, that means it's fire. You just run out, way out of the fire, go back in. That's it. Inside, you have the pillar, with 3 slots to put in 3 canisters. One of them spawns on the ground automatically. You go up to the top level and you start breaching all the containers around it. Don't actually search them, just open them and look with your eyes, is there a canister in that container? Grab it, if so, drop it down. And repeat until you find the other 2. With all 3 then, you go to the center pillar, you open the container slot, put a canister in, then go to the next one and repeat. Once all 3 are in, that spawns the yellow buttons, which can be destroyed with like most attacks. They're very vulnerable to melee though. I like to shoot the lower ones because they're actually slightly higher up, then climb to the top level and melee the higher up ones. If you don't do it in one cycle, which you probably won't on your own, you'll have to run out for the fire, run back in, put the 3 canisters in, and finish the remaining buttons. Not that big of a deal. Here's the big advice though for the people that will show up. Talk to them. Say, hey, I'm just doing the harvester. I'm just going to break parts off the queen. We can share the loot. Do you want to help? You know, be friendly. Your results may vary, but in my experience saying, hey, come in here, I'm almost done, let's do it together. Drop them like a single bandage and a defib to revive you if you need it, and they get the idea. And even though there's more people around, there's more loot to go around than you can take. Anyway, you've cleared the harvester, the queen is now like ready to go. You just step out from one of the doors, focus fire into the different parts of the legs until they fall off. And when you're happy with the amount of parts on the ground, you just stop attacking her, tell the others to stop attacking. Wait for her to de-aggro, and then as she patrols around, you go around behind her and loot all the parts on the ground. You can even do this while she's active, just like the matriarch. If she's aggroed on someone else, this is your free window to run up to some parts and grab the reactors or whatever really quickly and then get back inside. But that's it. Now, if you want to kill the matriarch and the queen, it is quite simple. You do the same thing, you break off the parts, but your goal is to have a weapon that will accurately hit the core. Again, the ferro and anvil will work for this, but your best option is going to be the renegade at level 4. When upgraded, it gets increased fire rate, allowing you to mag dump accurately at longer ranges. So if you're hitting the core, this is going to be your best DPS option. But again, a ferro and anvil will do the job. You want a lot of ammo though, like 300 shots worth at least for whatever weapon you're going for. And the entire purpose is to strip off the parts in the way of the core, then shoot the core with your DPS weapon. That's it. If you are going to go for a kill, bring extra resources, so more healing, more shield restores, and even consider bringing a backup light shield to pop on if yours gets low durability. You don't want to waste a run because you didn't invest in a very cheap backup shield. But yeah, that's the ultra budget way to do this, breaking off parts and looting them. It's really not that bad. Next up then, we got to talk about the energy weapon method, where all we're really doing is recreating what I've just outlined, but with a better weapon type for the method. Using energy weapons, you have either very strong or strong arc penetration, but mainly it's just like ultra quick stripping of the parts. Now naturally, if you're going to use one of these, you're technically investing more, but at the same time you're limiting the risk because of the smaller time it's going to take to strip the parts, get it and get out. My advice then is to run either the equalizer or the affiliate for this purpose. This obviously does have the requirement of level 3 gunsmith and the blueprint for those things. So you can use the cheap budget method all you want, but when you're ready to sort of upgrade it, this is an option. Now, an important caveat of this is what people will say is magnetic accelerators, complex gun parts, and the reactors, those are really expensive things. I don't want to run that to farm more of those things infinitely. Then yeah, stick to the budget option. But the reality is, what are you using these reactors for? Like, what is their purpose? Well, for the Matriarch reactor, you sell it for 13k, or you can turn it into power rods or a magnetic accelerator. With the Queen reactors, you can sell it for 13k, or you can turn it into a power rod or a magnetic accelerator. That is it. Your alternative is to craft the affiliate or craft the equalizer or Jupiter. That's their purpose. So if you want to sell them for money, go for it. If you want to recycle them, go for it. If you want to turn them into the weapons and then use them to get more of these parts to make more money and get more parts, I think that's awesome. Especially when we look at things like the magnetic accelerator. I'm not crafting any tempests or vulcanos. I don't have those blueprints somehow. So I'm only using them to craft these energy weapons. Same thing for the complex gun parts. Literally only those 3. They're not being used for something else. So if I'm not going to use them, I might as well sell them or recycle them or use them to make these weapons. Which takes this method into overdrive in terms of speed and efficiency and time to reward. In my opinion, you pick the equalizer because of its incredible range and sustained output. You're able to strip the armor from ridiculous ranges really quick, as you can see when I'm dealing with this Matriarch. You can take off one of the parts in one single round before you have to reload. Thing with the affiliate though is that it's just a bit more deadly and more reliable against players if they do mess with you. It's not going to be as good as the equalizer for stripping, but it's close to as good, and it's got incredible range and burst, and it's just more of a subtle weapon in my opinion. And the thing about these two is that one requires the Matriarch reactor and the other requires the Queen reactor. So depending on what you've got, you make the one you can. You can also use the Jupiter if you must. It's just not going to be as quick or as efficient as the other two. That's it. So you get the reactor for which one you're going to craft, obviously by targeting the parts and dropping them using the ferro method if you want. You can get the magnetic accelerators by, again, breaking parts off and looting them from the Queens of the Matriarch, but you can also recycle the reactors. And then finally, you got the complex gun parts. These come from any security location as a roll as you open a container. But you will find these in the security lockers, the one that you need the security breach passive to open in the skill tree. You can find those in the daytime, as well as the nighttime, obviously, and I find they're much less contested these days, so they're pretty free to open. Oh yeah, and also the Celeste, you can buy complex gun parts directly from her, one a day, and then obviously you can buy batteries here too, if you need to. Then you got the energy clips, the ammo that goes for these weapons. You can buy them at the gun shop, so it's 3,000 per. The problem with this is you get 1 rather than 5, so it's way more efficient to craft them. You do this at the workbench, and it requires 1 advanced arc power cell and 2 batteries. For that, you're going to get 5 clips rather than 1 per 3,000 as we looked at. You can get advanced arc power cells from doing this method we talked about, or doing probe runs, or killing large arc and looting them in general. In regards to the batteries, you can get them in massive amounts in lots of locations, but my favorite is Stella Montis in the sandbox area here. There's a control room on the top side, on like the upper and lower. So you just go up there, search all the containers, do all the breaching, and you'll find like 10 to 15 batteries in one container at a time. It's ridiculous. But yeah, whatever weapon you choose in regards to energy weapons, you can see that we're doing much the same thing, just with a faster option. Taking a nice spot, stripping the parts really quick, de-aggroing quicker, looting and getting out. Cool fact is that if you're doing the harvester for the Queen, you can also bring like basically no energy ammo into the run, then stock up via the harvester. It provides more energy clips than you can even use. And they actually buffed the value of them. So they used to sell for nothing. A stack of 5 here is 5,000 per. So actually just full looting the harvester is great money, irrelevant of the Queen. Now, if you're going to try and kill the target, the energy weapons will work as top tier stripping tools, right? And the idea is to remove all the coverings for the target's core. So the Matriarch, jaw plates, as we said. Queen, she has it all around her head, on the top, on the sides. remove all of those really quick with the energy weapons, and then go to your DPS weapon. As we talked about, that could be a ferro with a massive stack of heavy ammo to work with, or ideally something that's accurate and has higher DPS, like the upgraded renegade for its faster fire rate. The energy weapons are about stripping. They don't have a lot of raw DPS, so use something else for that. Next topic would be the deadline mines as another option to go for this. They're definitely more explosive and impactful than your Hullcracker these days, but the problem is you can only buy one per reset, 15k per. That cost is very reasonable for how effective they are, but sadly, it's not that useful for the strip and loot method. I tested the deadlines against their legs, walking up and placing just one on a leg to explode in the big AoE, and I was hoping that it would break off both parts, or at least one part, in one deadline, which would then make the cost worth it. The idea of walking up, popping one on, de-aggroing, looting and leaving super quick seems great, but one mine just doesn't do the job. It leaves the limb smoking. So what's actually happening there is you've really hurt the leg. You can now break that leg off fully a lot faster, like finish it off, but there's not much point for this method of the whole looting, stripping and leaving. But if you are going to kill the target, well then it's going to be a fantastic source. But you wouldn't be aiming for the legs. You put it on the main body like normal. Last topic is the Hullcracker. So obviously it's been nerfed, it's way more expensive and all that. But you know, it still will work. And there's a cool thing you can do that maybe you don't realize. You grab your Hullcracker, right? And then you grab your ammo, but you don't put it where if you die, you're going to lose it. The value is in the ammo. It's the most expensive part now. So if you have something like a survivor looting rig, or maybe they've got 2 slots, you just put them in your safe pockets. And as you reload, it directly pulls from the safe pocket. So yeah, if you die, you're going to lose 30k in value. But at least you keep the very expensive part, which is all the launcher ammo, and you can just buy the next Hullcracker for 30k on the next reset. This helps at least protect your investment. So now the Hullcracker's purpose is, get this right, crack the hull. You break the armor off using the Hullcracker like you would an energy weapon. Then you use a different weapon that actually has good DPS to now attack the exposed weak points. So with a Hullcracker, you could rip off the armor plating of a rocketeer, then swap to a different weapon and just shoot the hell out of it. With great DPS behind that into the weak points that are now exposed. Same thing with the Queen Matriarch. You target the legs, you crack off the parts, you go loot them and leave. Or if you're trying to kill it, you expose the areas around the core as much as you can. You use as much launcher ammo on the core as much as you want to. It does great damage if you accurately hit the core. It still does that, it's just way more expensive. But you could easily swap to a different weapon to accurately fire into the core. Now you've broken the armor off with a Hullcracker. For that concept, you don't even need like 3 stacks. You could easily just do 2 or less and easily break off all of the coverings and swap to a cheaper budget weapon or max DPS with a fully upgraded renegade to smack the core. So there are clearly different ways you can go about this, and investing more in an energy weapon or a Hullcracker essentially speeds up the process. And it's up to you how much you want to invest, but you can easily just go with a ferro, break parts off, loot them and leave. Get comfortable with the process, and then invest more when you're ready. So I think it's super doable on your own, like fully solo. I've been doing it, and I'm honestly having a lot of fun with it. I still feel like the Hullcracker is over nerfed in terms of like the 3 sides of the damage, how you access it, and obviously the cost of it. But if you change the way you approach using the Hullcracker, it can still have relevance, and you minimize your investment, as I've been saying. I hope this guide was useful to you. If it was, do drop a like. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.